Evening all, welcome to more tactics. Now, today what we're looking at is explosives. Now, I guess we've, and this is not a remote explosives, it's running a squad with pretty much exclusive explosives. Exclusive explosives, there you go, title of the video worked out already. Basically, this is something we do quite a lot of. We will generally say, right, let's run this type of gang, or let's run that type of gang. And with this one particularly, we went for area of effect weapons. If only just to show you, I think, certainly that it's important when you come into a match to quickly appraise which map it is, and then that kind of dictates to you what weapons are going to be good. Now, on a map like this, where effectively the whole fight is in close quarters, in this, I guess, little complex thing, this is where explosives excel. So naturally, your first, kind of decision here is explosives are going to do all right. Now, if you get the longer maps, maybe that one with that bloody awful bridge, one of the best things to do with that kind of scenario is scrambler rifle, sniper rifle, assault rifle, and so on. So you do have to kind of change your guns depending on which map you get, and certainly the kind of level of how close do you interact. So on more open maps, obviously they're usually quite far away. Even things like the laser rifle isn't maybe a bad idea in some cases, but with these kind of maps here, pretty much your engagement zone is no more than 20 meters. So this is why I think mass drivers, and we look later on also at the plasma cannon. In fact, we do quite well with the plasma cannon. And this is all based upon the fact that we wanted explosive, basically, gang. However, as we got started, somebody brought in a tank, and it was quite a good tank, I must admit. So we had to obviously deal with that first. So I basically went and refit and got my forge gun to see this guy had actually followed us through the base. So happy days, and basically here's where I waddle after him in my precious forge gun. Now, the thing about the forge gun as well is that it is an area of effect weapon also, and it's probably worth, sort of looking again at this as perhaps an assault offensive kind of weapon, because I see a few people now using heavy suits and the forge gun, and they do quite well. The only issue is obviously, they are quite expensive, and I think you're always going to be at a disadvantage to somebody in a scout suit with a shotgun, or an assault suit with an AR, because just generally they'll always do more damage over time than you can probably do in your one shot, unless you're very lucky. Anyway, fast forward. So now we've got our plasma cannon, and this is a weapon I'm becoming quite enamored with. After my my character assassination, where basically I said it was about as much use as a condom machine in the Vatican, I think this is now something that I would say is actually starting to get quite good. I know they've not made any changes to it, it's just my ability to use it. It's sort of reminiscent to the Flaylock. It kind of brings back a teary memory in my mind of reminiscing around the Flaylock, where you could kind of run around a corner, shoot at their feet, and then run away. Now, I've always liked that style of gameplay. It's very Quake, and for me, this gun is actually becoming, I'm actually staring at this gun as if it's like a, sort of sexy lady in a bikini. It's sort of like, not sure, quite fancy a piece of that. And I've got to admit, it's becoming more and more of a gun that I'm actually kind of tempted to maybe skill into quite a bit. Now, it does need a bit of work, but I think as an explosive kind of area of effect weapon, it's pretty good. If you can imagine what a gang of 6 people all running plasma cannon in a map like this would do, it would be incredible. However, most of the gang are running mass drivers. Now, again, there's a bit of a kind of a misnomer about mass drivers that I think I jokingly refer to it as OP. I don't actually think it is. I think it's the fit of the month at the moment, and what I think disappoints me greatly is when a fit of the month is, to combat somebody using the same gun over and over, we just nerf it. And I'm not sure about that. That doesn't feel right. Why would you restrict the game rather than just expand other stuff? Do you know what I mean? I know it's the it's the old Flaylock challenge, I guess, but it bothers me that I think people are saying nerf the mass driver, when in reality, I mean, it's just good, I mean, in long range maps, it's useless. So, it's very difficult to kind of say that I can't honestly sit there and say it's OP and needs nerfing. I think if anything, it's just a good gun, and I think, certain guns, when they start to become good because everybody runs them, it's basically what everybody runs, therefore you're seeing a lot of them, you're seeing proliferation of them, then that's why people say then it's OP, but it's not OP, it's just a gun that works and is good. It's a tricky one. I think the Flaylock was OP, and I totally hold my hands up to that, because it was always a very, very ridiculously powerful gun, where perhaps it should have been toned down a bit. And I think what they've done to it now is quite fair. With the mass driver, I think you're pretty much going to, as soon as you flick that switch and change anything, it's going to be crap again. And I think it just, I don't know, something about it doesn't feel quite right. I do agree that too many people use it, and maybe that, you know, we need to look at the other guns. Maybe we need to make the other guns better. But that's crazy lunatic jibber jabber, so let's move on. I think in general, you know, area of effect, you know, squads like this do have something about them that is quite incredible. I think you can see most of us are running scout suits, or at least very fast assault suits. So we've got, like, obviously Mimitar and Caldari Assault and Logis, but they're running things like speed mods generally as well. So, you know, it's just things like that. Sometimes it's not about necessarily getting the shot on, it's about panicking the player. And I think this is a prime example of where they're just, look at these guys, they're getting such massed gunfire at them that it's terrifying them, and they're kind of, you know, running around like headless chickens. And that, I think, is a very powerful tactic as well. So obviously with these kind of things, you need to look at what's the best way to win a map. Well, sometimes it is actually to literally shit your players up, you know, to scare them, let's say. And that, you know, it can actually work. It is quite an effective tactic to frighten people, and hopefully you're seeing that in this map here, where our enemies were obviously, they were good players, but what we were finding is they were absolutely terrified at the spam of explosives. So, you know, explosions and the sound and all of this stuff, it can become quite overwhelming. Whereas I think when you're playing AR, you know that pretty much if you're out of line of sight, you're not going to get hurt generally. Whereas with mass drivers and plasma cannons and, you know, all that stuff, and grenades particularly, it is a phenomenally scary place to be when you're surrounded by explosions going off. Personally, this is, you know, mass drivers are also my bane, because, you know, there is one thing that will kill my scout suit quicker than anything else. It's the mass driver, because you don't need to get a good shot on me. It will kill me if you get roughly the right area of a shot. So look at this, lining up the shot nicely, boom. That's what is fun about these plasma cannons. They have potential, they really do. At the moment, they're not good enough to be a main gun for me. I do like them though, but I just think that projectile needs to be faster. If it was like a proper RPG where it just literally shot out like lightning out the gun, I would be, you know, like a proper missile, but like not a swarm launch, because they're too slow as well. I think I'd be very, you know, enamoured with this plasma cannon, but I think at the moment when you fire it, the projectile's too slow. So here we go, guy to the right, I know he's there, fire, boom, instant kill. That's cool. Now I think, you know, this gun has potential, I guess, is what I'm saying. What I'm bibbling and bobbling about is that I think this gun could become quite a nice addition to the Pyrex arsenal. I think in general, I think Mass Driver is also phenomenally good. I've actually been using Mass Driver quite a bit, not a massive amount. Obviously, it is obviously a fit of the month at the moment. I can see why people are using them a lot, because they are very satisfying weapons. But again, I just think, yeah, it's difficult to kind of, you know, claim them as OP still. I really do have that difficulty with it, and I don't know, we'll probably see quite a big change to the mass driver that will make it not as good, and it'll probably be balanced quite well, so I'm not too concerned. I think if they do something to it, I don't think it'll be a killer, you know. It's like the Flaylock still works. I could still use the Flaylock if I so wished, but I think at the moment, no, I've done it, I've kind of been there. And I think also for my own playstyle, I can't play the same. I used to be able to do this. With the Flaylock particularly, I used to be able to do this a lot. But I can't play the same gun all the time now. And, you know, I love the fact that I'm a bit of a jack of all trades now. So shotgunning and plasma cannoning and forward gunning and, you know, even things like, you know, scrambler rifling, even assault rifling isn't too bad at the moment. It's quite interesting. So I'm enjoying that aspect of the game a lot more than just using one gun. If anything, we should never really have fit of the month. There shouldn't really be that. It's only because some people are so concerned about, you know, winning and getting high KD and all that, and I guess that's the name of the game, but, you know, you have to ask, are you having fun? Seriously, are you having fun? Because I think a lot of players aren't. They just literally want to go, you know, 20-0 or something, and yeah, if that's your thing, then fair enough. We'll love to come find you and hurt you and ruin your KD ratio. But don't play a miserable game just because you want to use the gun that's OP at the moment. I think that's the lunacy of the whole thing. I think people forgive the fact that when you're running good guns, you know, if you're winning, then it doesn't really matter if you're going through pain to do it. And I feel that they need to get rid of this fit of the month almost. You know, I don't know if they ever will because it's like balancing. But I hope one day that we don't have everybody running the same suit all the time, because I think at the moment you're still seeing a massive amount of Caldari Logi, Caldari Assault with Mass Driver or, you know, with AR, and I think yeah, it does become a bit boring. I'd love to fight more people who are playing my style of game, you know, really eclectic mix of weapons and suits and styles of play as well. You see me running around like a trooper, but then sometimes you'll see me maybe just sort of sitting back with a laser trying to pick people off. Not enough people migrate back and forward because all they care about is their KD ratio. And in some cases, some people have to worry about their KD ratio because it keeps them in the corp that they want to be in. Because hey, everyone wants to be elite, right? Oh god. Anyway, let's not cover that. That's another video in itself. Hope you enjoyed that. Quick shout out, squadb.com, Twitter, Facebook, usual blah blah blah. And if you fancy clicking on any of these rather attractive links, feel free. And hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.